So after a couple of attempts, we ended up just putting the tender around there to get that connected down to the stem head. The rope's basically submerged and it's doing it really well. We're not banging anymore, so I'm really pleased with that, and we can use that again and again. Today we are sailing to San Luis Bay. The fog has lifted, which is pleasant because we can actually see the coastline. Currently running under foresail on 2 reefs and staysail on its one and only reef, and doing about 5 knots on average, which is pretty good. We should be there in no time. As the daylight was drawing to a close, Skipper decided to put the engine on, drop sails and make it in. We were only making 3 knots under sail, which is quite impressive considering it was about 2 when we only had the foresail up. Not sure my camera's able to pick it up, but there's plenty of sea lions on that thing, it's quite funny. We're now headed into San Luis something Bay, I think. The landscape's changed quite a bit. The mountain peaks are more jaggedy than curved now. Plenty of boats in this anchorage too, so we won't be alone this time. The girls have gone ashore to reprovision today, and I'm going to try and patch up this little hole in the topsail from where I pulled it up past the shrouds when the sail was on the wrong tack and it tore on something. So I'll avoid doing that in the future. And here it is. No masterpiece as per usual, but it does the trick. Definitely improving, but it's still pretty rubbish. So Papa, what's going on?
We're doing 4.4 knots.
Yeah?
We left Port St. Louis. And we're all a bit excited because there's whales all across the horizon.
I probably won't catch any on camera, but we've seen a good few. Clouds look quite comical today. The Simpsons. What are you saying then, Mum?
Hello, yes, sailing, good.
Uh-huh.
Nice to get out of that bay.
Yeah. We are, of course, running under all sails currently. Got them set pretty good. The foresail needs to go out a little bit more, but I'm just concerned about the gaff pushing against the fisherman.
So the destination today is past a couple of points. First point south, and then point Arroyo, and then Point Conception, and then we're gonna get warm. So we're told. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm panning round. Oh, fingers in the way. Woo!
We dropped the staysail and the fisherman, and then I looked up and saw that. The peak halyard for the fore has completely come off, snapped, so I'm going to have to try and get that down now. Oh, we're not doing very well on sails. We were going along quite nicely under jib and main. We were doing about 4.5 knots to start with on that sail configuration, and then it dropped down to less than 2, so we called it. Unfortunately, we put the engine on. We're not too far away from our anchorage now, just around Point Conception, so we shouldn't be motoring for too long. Here we are in Coho Bay. It's very windy today. It's interesting. We're just around Point Conception. I believe that is it just there. In kelp beds, which is interesting. Because the peak broke yesterday, I've put the lega mutton on. Just to see how that fares. And we've just put 3 reefs in the main, just to be safe. Be interested to see what this looks like up. Funny little rig now, we've got a leg of mutton. I'll get a bit of footage of it later. And here it is, the leg of mutton. It's tiny. Since we put it up, we haven't gone up in speed because any wind that it's catching is just being taken out of the staysail. So we're going to drop it and put the main up, 3 reefs in. But it's a cool proof of concept. The seas have picked up a bit now. Hit 6.2 earlier. I think we've been doing around 5.5, 6 knots for a good while now. So we should get in there in good time. So last night we made it here. Santa Barbara. The mountains up in the clouds. It's much warmer here. It's amazing how much difference you get coming around the corner. Get you a nice view from the stern. Oh, don't worry about that. Come around this side. Don't worry about this either, I'll just step over it. Here we are, lovely view from the stern. Yeah, we're really glad we managed to get to Santa Barbara without any problems last night. Godsend. Yeah, we had a few problems yesterday. Nice view of Santa Barbara. I'm swinging about a bit. One way. I'm up the Foremost now. Just been rethreading the peak halliard through this block and that block. Santa Barbara. So here's the current rig. Little leg of mutton on the main, because that's the biggest sail we can put on there at the moment, unless we wanted to do a boomless main, which I didn't want to do, because then you'd have a big gaff swinging about without being tethered down by a boom. Foresail as it is, so I got the peak halliard back up there yesterday, having gone up the mast. Staysail and jib will come out later, but at the moment we're going to wind. I read a small section in Tom Cunliffe's Hand Reef and Steer about sailing schooners in light weather, and he briefly talks about a sail that he calls a golly wobbler, which I gather is just a very large fisherman, and he said to put it up leeward of the triatics and windward of the foresail, so that's what I've tried today. I'm not certain if the sheet's meant to come down the windward or leeward side, but I've got it on the windward at the moment, and it seems to be working okay. But I thought I'd give it a go, and can't really argue with old mate Tom, can you? Disappointing news, we'll give it up and gone back basically. We tried for a few hours, but the wind is not where it said it would be, and there's not as much as they said it would be, and tomorrow the forecast is even worse, so we're just going back where we came. But lots of oil rigs out here. Makes me laugh a bit when California raves on about being eco-friendly when there are 7 fucking oil rigs just off the coast here. Just got to go back to that headland. Basically, there feels to be a little bit of wind now, so we're gonna try and sail off again. It feels like it's coming from the southwest in here, but of course it's going to be different out there because we're getting disruption off the land and the piers and things. But we'll give it a go and see what it's like. To get the boat ready to sail, I've unlaced the foresails nappy. Ordinarily I'd have to do that with the main too, but obviously that isn't on. And then I've unwrapped the staysail about halfway. If I did it all the way, it would get in the way of the windlass when we're trying to get it up. So the foresail's away again now. Bet you can't guess why. It has snapped in the exact same place. The ropes are the same length, within about 2 inches. So it's clearly something up there is wearing through them quite fast, because that has lasted 1 trip. So I think it's that first block that it runs through is too small. When I was up there rethreading it, it didn't feel like a very good fit for it. I didn't think much of it. So we're going to run into the nearest port. I don't think I can see it. It'll probably be dark by the time we get there, which is unfortunate. And we'll have to try and find a more permanent solution to that. Our original destination was actually the next town along, but with the day drawing to a close and the foresail's peak halliard having snapped again, we decided to come to Ventura instead. This is a great big inner harbour. Took a long while to pootle through here to get where we are now. And this is also the first time that Grail Dancer's been moored up since Alameda, so hopefully the last before Ensenada, because it's very, very expensive. $1.50 per foot per night. The cutest little bird. He's coming to eat all the insects. We left Ventura, as you're probably guessing, and there's fog, so it's foggy and no wind and considerable swell. We're rocking about a bit occasionally. It's quite stable now, but earlier we were really had a rock on. Don't know what to show you because it's literally just fog. We opted to not hank the big jib on today because the other day when we dropped it, I had to go out on the bowsprit to stow it, and if the bowsprit net was good and functional, then it wouldn't be a problem, but it's really difficult to access. So we should just be able to drop it and pull all the corners in together to a bag, which would be a lot easier at the cost of not having such a tight luff. We are utterly becalmed now. There's a little puff in the water over there. One of these days. We are drifting now. The winds come around south-southeast and we are heading south-southeast, so we can't do anything because we can't tack across because we're not far from the coast and we're not far from the shipping lane, so we're in a little stuck zone and we want to take turns to get some sleep, so we just dropped everything and we're drifting about 0.7 knots northwest at the moment. We're approaching the land now. It's 1 o'clock, which is when we agreed we'd switch over. I'll go wake Dad up and we'll probably have to motor offshore for a bit, unfortunately. And a kappa. Got a cool arch there. We gave up going the way we were going. Didn't we, Mum? We gave up going where we were going.
We did give up, yep. So we've come to an island instead.
We have indeed. Which is slightly in the wrong direction. We're actually further west of Ventura now. Going to drop the sails now because the wind's getting blocked by the island, and we'll motor in. Off we go from Anacapa, past its funky arch once again. Got the 4 sort of, I guess, main sails up, the ones that we have currently in use, and our destination is Paradise Cove, which was our destination yesterday originally too. Hopefully we actually get there today. We'd been goose swinging for a while with the main and the little Legomat in the back, but the fisherman kept backing, pushing itself against the Triatics. So I've put it up the other side, sort of goose swinging with it, if you will. And there might be someone watching this thinking, what a terrible idea that is, and all the things that could go wrong with this, but I don't know, so I'll have to find that out for myself. We dropped the sails as it was getting dark, and we're now motoring into Malibu. This is West Malibu. I can't get over the amount of lights, because I couldn't see anything until it got dark, and all of a sudden all these lights on the hill. It must be so much more around the corner if this is only the west suburb. And then off in the distance, my phone can just about pick it up, I think, is the glow of Los Angeles. Right, well that's us at Malibu. It's actually not much different here as it was in West Malibu. That concludes our stay in Malibu. Looks so different in the daytime. The hills are much different here than they were not very long ago. Our ultimate destination is LA. But we're unlikely to make it there on the light winds that we have today unless they pick up, so we've got a few other options as we go. Running under the usual silly little Legomat at the back that doesn't do very much. Finally we have some bloody wind. We're doing about 5 knots. I think the wind's about force 4, which was predicted, but I'm ecstatic that it's actually here because it often doesn't come. I believe that's Santa Catalina Island, and then the headlands for LA, just in the distance there. Very exciting. That is a great big port of LA. We've made it here in much better time than we thought we would. We thought it'd be midnight, if not early hours of the morning before we got here, but it's still bright. Must only be about 7:30. Just running under staysail and foresail basically. The Legomat's up, but we haven't let it out all the way because we're going to have them down shortly, but it could go out some more. I just think it's an amazing view. So what are we doing then, parents?
What we're doing, we're in LA Harbour, Los Angeles Harbour, and we're just waiting at the minute for the port police who should be coming out to us just to
Tell us if we can stay or not, even though they told us we can stay this afternoon.
So yeah, hopefully all's fine. But
However,
we're
we're staying.
We've anchored, so there doesn't seem to be anybody else here.
No.
I don't think Americans are outside. It doesn't seem to be the right season.
But we had a good day sailing, didn't we?
We actually sailed.
Mm-hmm.
I sailed above 3 knots. I even got as high as, what was it, 6.7?
6.6.
Oh, sorry, one not too many. Point of a not too many. But yeah, no, it's been good. And we got here when you thought we would, didn't you?
Yeah.
About
Way
9
quicker.
o'clock.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit of a bummer because it's dark. It's never fun coming into any port or marina in the darkness. But
Especially when you don't know.
well, yeah. But hopefully soon
soon somebody will come. It's not getting cold.
Yeah, they're taking their time.
Californian weather, yeah.
Alright, this is where we are in daylight, so you can actually see it. I couldn't tell you exactly where we are, somewhere in the far outskirts of LA. That's just the breakwater. I'll spin around again. We're about to row ashore and go for a shower and things like that. A bloot, I think is the word. Alright, we've spent 3 days here now, but we're off. We took public transport into Hollywood yesterday and Long Beach. Not very exciting, but we did say that we've been. Yeah, now we're heading off, bound for Santa Catalina. 20 something miles, I think, so not a very long day, but we're a little bit late in the day setting off, and there's not due to be massive winds at the moment, so that might be all we can make. We're in Newport Beach now. We made it here in fairly moderate time, pretty mediocre sailing. Got up to 4.8 at one point, but for the most part of it we were going quite slowly. But the staysail, I tried to do the fancy sort of staysail stow on it. Not very successful, it's a bit naff. If it didn't have the funny lacing at the bottom where the last few hanks are tied on a rope which slackens when you drop it so that it drops back away from the bowsprit, then it would be a lot easier, because at the moment I wrap up around the top and then it is back there still and this funny thing sticks out and it's hard to get it to wrap up like that. I'm not going to be able to explain it very well, but I assure you it's a bit more difficult than I'm used to with sort of stowing staysails. I'll have to keep practicing with it and try and get to a place where it sort of works, and if not, we have a cover for it so we can just pop that on. This is Dana Point, very wealthy looking area. Parents decided not to leave this morning, but it turned out to be quite a bit of wind just walking along the breakwater here. There are loads of these little like echopod things all over the shop, but they scuttle once I step on anywhere near them. There's one on the end of that rock there. Oh, can I get him? There he is. This is a long old breakwater. Not certain what they're up to, but yesterday we sailed from Dana Point to here. This is a town called Oceanside. There is a little marina in there, and there's supposedly an anchorage that you can use sometimes, but it looked like it was cordoned off, so we just anchored outside the breakwater. I wanted to show that I did a very much better staysail stow than the one I did last time. We were barely moving and the jib was flapping the most of the time and Dad was struggling to steer, so he gave up with the big jib and swapped it over to the working jib and then put the big jib on the mainmast. Sort of jury rigged it. It is very sketchy. It's on the topsails jack yard on some of the hanks. The tack is down to the pin there, and the sail's a bit squashed down there, which is not great. I'm a bit worried about it. And then the sheet goes to a block over there, and it's kind of working. The helm's a lot easier now, and with the working jib out, that's not flapping all the time. So I think it's better, but we shall see if the wind gets up how all things fare. Wow. Whose idea was it to not put the green beacon on the end of the mole? You can't see it, but it extends about 120 feet further than the green beacon does. How fucking stupid. We've just been into the police dock in San Diego to try and stamp out, but they more or less told us to move on. Initially told us to use some app to try and stamp out the country, and that didn't work. So then we called the appropriate authority, and they said that we didn't have to stamp out, and that any receipts that we got in Mexico would be proof enough that we'd left the country. Which we thought was a little bit strange, but we'll go with it. Means we didn't actually have to make this journey in. But over there is the coastal suburb of Tijuana, and then those are the big buildings of central San Diego. and we're just heading back out to this anchorage. Oh, still zoomed in, I'm really good at this. Now on the other side of this breakwater, which you can't see because most of it's submerged, so we just have to go out and round. Where those boats are is where we're headed basically. And we do have the jib up, but we are motoring as it's only 3 odd miles, so it's not really worth sailing the whole way, even though we could be going about the same speed if we did have the sails up. Not that fast though. We just left San Diego, Coronado to be specific, and we're now heading to Coronado, but the island in Mexico. They both have the same name for some reason. You can just see it over there. I think that's what we're heading to, there's a few of them. We haven't had wind all morning and it's finally arrived along with the dolphins. Oh, he jumped. I don't know if I caught that. Whoa. It's Mexico! Estamos en Mexico! I'm not sure we are. We're not sure we are exactly, but there's the line on the land that is the border, and it's just gone straight, so we know that we're actually there. Can't even see the island. There's the coastline of Mexico. It's so bright at night time, but not nearly as noticeable in the daylight. We're right by a whole load of fish farms. There's lots of big fishing boats that are all anchored around us. It's quite shallow here relatively on this side of the island, so they've obviously put the fish farms down here because of that. Way more fishing boats here than we saw anywhere else in the California coastline. Alright, so here it is. Will hopefully be the last leg of our long journey. Not long in distance, long in time, because it took us way too long. Destination for today is Ensenada, and we're hoping to get there. It's only 47 miles, I think, but in light airs that might be a good long day. You can see the fish farms in better daylight here. So many of them. Gross. What are you saying then, Mum?
Do you want to see the injury?
No, don't. No, I really don't actually.
Yeah,
Any words of
hopefully.
wisdom?
Well, it's 1 degree cooler here currently than it is in our hometown of Ipswich in the UK, so I'm hoping it warms up. But yeah, last leg to Ensenada.
Yeah. I spotted another dinky little schooner like us sailing down the coast. Under foresail and staysail, but motoring because there's no wind. And that's exactly what we're doing. What are the odds? I believe this is now the outskirts of Ensenada. And we've only got a few miles left going deep into the port somewhere, which will be the more central part. We've had to motor all day, which is unfortunate. I suppose we didn't have to, but we wanted to arrive in Ensenada for Mum's birthday tomorrow. So we just bit the bullet, I guess, and motored all the way. Even though, had we continued on yesterday, there was actually still wind, we could have kept going. But you live and you learn, I guess, I don't know. Bit disappointed on the last day, having done so well beforehand, but looks nice so far, but I guess this is just the richer outskirts. Biggest breakwater I think I might have ever seen. It looks like it goes about 20 metres high out the water, and it's enormously thick. Big cruise liner too. It's remarkable how much the landscape has changed as well. It's much more yellow, more red as well than it was just in San Diego. What are you saying, Mum?
Oh, there's no sunshine.
Yeah, there's no sunshine. That big old cruise liner decided to leave just as we were coming in. No Ensenada. I wonder why. We saw all these pelicans all like swarming together. We wondered what they were doing, and just as the cruise ship was leaving, they've all dived down in its wake. I'm guessing all the fish get disturbed, but they all gathered there after the cruise ship did its single blast, letting people know that it was leaving. So they clearly recognised that as a sound of food, which is rather interesting. So here it is, Ensenada by night. We moored up successfully. We've got the both the leg of muttons off the main, the boom's bare. Got the staysail stowed. That's it now, we've made it here to our final destination for us to start working on stuff. So that will be what's next. Probably have a day or two of resting before we get
cracking with things. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching.